Hello everyone, our lesson today is about reproduction in humans. A new topic about reproduction. In the previous lessons we were talking about reproduction in a plant. We explained the whole process, how plants it reproduce, and also we explained all the parts that are included in the process of reproduction. Today also it's about reproduction but in humans. The objectives for this lesson are: firstly, you should be able to define what they mean by sexual reproduction. Then you should know the steps that the sexual reproduction involve. We will see this process of the sexual reproduction. It will happen through how many steps. Then you should be able to describe the human reproductive systems, because we are talking about sexual reproduction system. So we will talk about the male and female reproductive organs. We will see what are the parts of each system, and what is the function of each part. Firstly, when we talked about reproduction in general in the previous lessons, we said that reproduction, it could be sexual or asexual. But in sexual reproduction in human there will be only sexual reproduction. So what will happen during the sexual reproduction in human is the genetic information from two parents combines to produce a new individual. Again, in sexual reproduction, the genetic information from two parents combines to produce a new individual. The sexual reproduction, it will produce individuals, but these individuals will be totally, it will differ from the parents, because here we say it in sexual reproduction, the genetic informations, it will be from two parents. It will pass to the individual, or it will pass to the offspring. So the offspring, of course, will not be similar to the parents. Will have some common features from the parents, but it will not be totally the same as the parents. This process or sexual reproduction, it will go through different steps or different stages. The first thing we should know the structure of the reproductive organs in both male and female. So firstly, we will start with the male reproductive system. Each system, it has some functions. So the male reproductive system, it has two main functions. These two main functions are what? First one, to manufacture the male gametes. Okay, first function of male reproductive system is to produce the gametes. Then, after producing it, what should happen to it? It should deliver them to the site of fertilization. Where will be the site of fertilization? It will be in the female reproductive system. Okay. Now, let's explain the male reproductive system. Let's see what are the parts of it and what is the function of each part. Firstly, the male gametes, we call them spermatozoa, or a shortcut for that, we call them sperm. So sperm, it's what? It's the male gamete. Okay, now this sperms, where it will be produced? Okay, it will be manufactured or produced in the testes. Okay, then these testes are what are enclosed in a sac of skin. We call them scrotum. Okay, which hangs outside the body between the legs. Now, the question is like, why it's outside the body? Okay, what's the benefit? What is the reason behind this? The reason behind this one, it's what? This position, it will help to protect the testes from any physical damage. Okay, and the most important thing, it's what? Because they are outside the body, so it will be surrounded with a temperature which is at least, like for example, 2 or 3 Celsius less than the body temperature. Okay. More importantly, keeps them at temperature 2 to 3 Celsius lower than body temperature. Okay, what's the benefit of being in a place where it's like less than body temperature? This less temperature, it will what? It's ideal for development of sperms. When the testis will make sperm, okay, if the temperature is lower than body temperature by 2 or 3 Celsius, this it will be ideal for development the sperm. Now, here it will manufacture the gametes. Now we know how the sperms were produced. Now let's come to the second function of the reproductive system, which is deliver them to the site of fertilization. Now we will see how these sperms will be delivered to the male reproductive system, or through what? Firstly, the sperms are delivered inside the female body through a series of tubes, okay, eventually release the sperm from the tip of the penis. So the sperm will deliver it from the male body to the female reproductive system through what? Through the tip of an organ, we call it penis. The male reproductive system lies very close to the part of the excretory system. The reproductive system and excretory system, here they are close to each other, and also they are somehow connected to each other. Okay, how is that? The male reproductive system lies very close to the part of the excretory system that removes the urine from the body. Okay, indeed, the urethra, focus on this part, the urethra is a tube used to expel urine and seminal fluid from the body. So the seminal fluid, which contains the sperms, okay, seminal fluid and urine, both of them they be removed outside the body through what? Through the urethra. Okay, but now if both of them, if the urine and the sperm goes through the same tube, okay, why they are not happening at the same time? Or is it possible to these two processes to happen at the same time? The answer is no. These two processes will never happen at the same time. The reason behind that is what? There is a valve, okay? This valve, it prevents happening at the same time, okay? This valve, it will prevent releasing seminal fluid and urine at the same time. It will be either urine or the seminal fluid. These two systems, the reproductive system and the excretory system, because they are connected with each other, so they call them together, they call them urinogenital system. So urinogenital system, it's what? The two systems together. Which two systems? The reproductive system and the excretory system. Here, if you will go to page 174, okay, this is page 174. Page 174, it shows the structure of the male reproductive system. So this is the male urogenital system. Why we call it the urogenital system? Because here it will shows both the reproductive system and also the excretory system. Now, let's take a look on the organs. Firstly, the parts, okay, the main parts. We have testis, okay, we have urethra, okay. Now, we said, firstly, you'll have testis. This testis, the function of it, it's what? It's to produce sperm, okay. The testis, it's made up of many coiled tubes which produce sperm. Now, after the sperms will be produced or manufactured in the testis, Now what will happen to it? It should goes to the urethra. Now see what will happen here. It goes to the urethra. Okay, through what? Through this tube. This tube we call it sperm duct. Okay, sperm duct, the function of it, it's what? It carries sperms from the testis to the urethra. Then after that, when the sperm it reaches the urethra, as you can see here, a part of the urethra, it's what? It's in the penis. So what will happen? Here the urethra, it carries semen from the sperm duct to the tip of the penis. Then penis becomes erect when spaces in its structure fill with blood. This we explained about it before. We say the penis will erect. How? There are some like small holes in it. When these holes, it will be filled with blood. So what will happen? It will erect. Then, now I talked about the reproductive system. Let's talk about the parts of excretory system. See, parts of the urinary system, they are what? They are ureter and bladder. So, ureter, this, it will comes from where? It will comes from the kidney. Kidney when it will filter the blood, so it will produce, or it will make the urea and then urine. So it will comes through ureter, then will reach the bladder. Bladder, it's like a store. Okay, so it's like a storage for the urine, and then as you can see, the urine is connected to what? It's connected to the urethra. So at the end, the gametes or the sperms and urine, both of them, they pass through the urethra. One more thing here, we have the prostate gland. Prostate gland, where we said sperms, it will need a fluid to like swim through it. What's this fluid, or from where it will be produced? The fluid will be produced by the prostate gland. So this prostate gland, it will help to produce the seminal fluid. Okay. And the last thing, another part of the reproductive system, which is the scrotum. Scrotum, we said it's the sac. It's like it's a sac made up of skin that it will cover the testis. Okay, scrotum holds the testis outside the body at the ideal temperature for the formation of sperm. And here, this structure, it shows the this drawing, it shows the structure of sperm. So each sperm, it consists of these parts. The upper part, okay, we called it acrosome. It contains some enzymes to penetrate egg cell membrane. We will talk about it later. And it has mitochondria to provide it with energy, because sperms, we said it will swim, so it means it will move. So this movement, it will need energy. How these sperms will get this energy? It will get it from the mitochondria. And the last part of it, it's flagellum. Flagellum, this when it will move, so it will help the sperm to swim. Some facts about sperm. Okay, male gametes, or the sperm, if you have a question that it says compare between male and female gametes, these are the differences between them. Firstly, if about size, of course, the gametes, the male gametes, the sperm are much smaller than ova, and the number of them, it's small, are produced in a huge number. Okay, it's 300 millions per ejaculation, but in the female, it will be one per month. Okay, are motile, it means they can swim, or they are able to move. Then the second part of reproductive system, it's the female reproductive system. The female reproductive system also, it has main function, and it has some parts. These parts, each one, it has its own function. Now let's talk about them in details. In addition to producing female gametes, the female reproductive system receives male gametes. So again, here, this system, it has two functions. The first function is to produce the female gamete, which is ovum or ova, okay, or we can call it egg. The second function is what? It's to receive the male gametes. Now, when it will receive the male gamete, so it means this system, it will provide a site for fertilization and for the development of the zygote. What's fertilization? Again, it's the fusion of male and female gametes. Now, the female gametes, we call it ova. Okay, either you will call it ova or you will call it egg. But I prefer if you will use the word ova because it's like a scientific name for it. Then this ova, which part will produce it? It's what? Two ovaries. Female reproductive system, it has two ovaries. These two ovaries are responsible for producing the ova. Now, the ovaries, it produce the ova. Now, what will happen to the ova? It should be traveled away from the ovaries. The same thing happened in male reproductive system. We say the testis will produce sperms, and now the sperms, they should move away, or should travel away from the testis. Through what? Through, there it was sperm duct. Here, what do we have? We have oviduct. Okay, or it has another name. We call them fallopian tube. Then, when it will move through fallopian tubes, it will move towards the uterus, the third part. Okay. Now, while this ova it's traveling, there maybe there will be a fertilization. If there will be fertilization, the fertilization, it will take place when the ova it was here in the oviduct. Okay, it may be fertilized while in the oviduct, and then it will form the zygote. Zygote will grow and develop in the uterus. Okay, so uterus here is the last part where the zygote will attach to the walls of it, and it will start developing, making new cells and growing to form the embryo. Also, let's take a look on the female reproductive system. Again, the female urogenital system. Why we call it urogenital system? Because it's combination between two systems, the excretory system and the reproductive system. Now, let's review the parts of reproductive system. The reproductive system, firstly, it starts with this point. It starts with the ovary. Okay, ovary. The function of the ovary, we said it's what? It's to produce the ova. Okay. In addition to the ova, also it produces some hormones. Okay, we call them estrogen and progesterone. Maybe you will have a question that says, what are the hormones that are produced by ovary? You will say the estrogen and progesterone. This is in the female. In male, also we have a hormone. We call it testosterone. Testosterone produced by testis, but estrogen and progesterone are produced by the ovary. Now, after ovary, we said what will happen? The ova, the produced ova, now it should travel away from the ovary. Now, where it goes? It will go to the oviduct. So here, okay, this part, it's the oviduct. Oviduct, or we call it fallopian tubes. The function of oviduct or fallopian tubes, it's what? It carry the ovum to the uterus. So it take it from ovary and it will send it to the uterus. Maybe we said if there will be any fertilization, So the fertilization, it will take place in the oviduct. Okay, if there will be fertilization, still the egg, it will be fertilized here, and then it will move to the uterus. If there will be no fertilization, still the ova will reach the uterus. Okay. Then after oviduct or fallopian, what we'll have? We will have the last part. The last part, we call it uterus. Uterus or womb. Okay. Uterus or womb. What's the function of it? It's where the fetus develop. Fetus, what do you mean by fetus here? When the zygote, it will start developing, making more cells. Now we will call it fetus. Okay. Then this reproductive system will be followed by some other organs. These organs are, for example, here we say this is the uterus, and here are the walls or the lining of the uterus. It's made up of muscles. Okay, and this part we call it cervix. Cervix or neck of uterus. This cervix, it's a combination of muscles, many muscles together. This opening, it will keep closed when there is a fetus in it. Okay, keeps the fetus in the uterus. During birth, what will happen? These muscles, it will relax. When it will relax, so it will enable the embryo to pass through it. After cervix, we have this part. This part, we call it vagina. Vagina or birth canal. This vagina or birth canal, the function of it, it's what? It's the function of it, it's to, it will receive the penis. We say the function of male reproductive system, it's to deliver the sperms into the female reproductive system. So how it will happen? It will happen through the penis. Where what will happen? The penis, it should pass through the vagina. So vagina receives the penis during intercoursing and is the way out for the baby at birth. And here we have the opening of vagina. Then now it was everything about female reproductive system. Now let's talk about the urinary system. Urinary system here also, it consists of ureter, which receives the urine from the kidney, and it contains the bladder. Bladder also is same as in male. The function of it is to store the urine until it will be expelled outside the body through the same here, as you can see, through the opening of the vagina. Okay, now this drawing, it shows the female gamete, which it's ova. Okay, now some features about the ova. We said if we will compare it with the sperm, we will see it's bigger. Okay, and do not move. It's not like sperm. In sperm, we say sperms are motile. Okay, so they can move, but egg, it will not move. Okay, it's larger. Why it's larger? So it can store food in it. If we will compare the number of them, number of produced gametes, we said here in male, it's about 300 million per ejaculation. Here are produced in small numbers, which is 1 per month. It could be, sometimes it could be more than 1. It depends on the hormones, or the body hormones. So the structure of it, firstly, we have the nucleus. You should focus on the nucleus here. Nucleus of gametes, both male and female, they are what? They are haploid. Haploid. What do you mean by haploid? It has half set of the genetic information. Why it's half? Because this it's half, and the sperm also will have half. When they will join each other, they will form diploid nucleus, or we will have a full amount of genetic information. Hormones control puberty in humans. Puberty, what do you mean by puberty? It's a stage in our life cycle, or in our life cycle, in which we will be able to reproduce. So this process, or this ability to reproduce, it will be controlled by specific hormones. So hormones control long-term processes and often have widespread effects on the body. At puberty, as we said, a person, it's a stage in our life in which we will be able physically to reproduce. So the development of sexual maturity is a good example of a hormone-controlled process. As we know, since birth until you will be, for example, 11, 12, 13 years old, this differs from one person to another. During these years, you are unable to reproduce, but you will reach a stage, you will reach an age in which you will be able to reproduce. But why in this specific age you will be able to reproduce? This ability, it's controlled by some hormones. How? How is that? As young person develops physically, okay, certain signals processed by the brain. So there will be a signal or a message is sent from brain into the a specific kind of gland in our body. We call it pituitary gland. Pituitary gland, the function of it, it's what? It controls all the glands in our body. Okay, now this pituitary gland, it will stimulate the primary sex organs, the testes in male and the ovaries in the female. So what will happen? This pituitary gland, okay, it will stimulate the testes and ovaries. Now what will happen to the testes and ovaries? It will start producing the hormones. We call them sex hormones. What are these sex hormones? For example, we have two main sex hormones. We call them estrogen and testosterone. Estrogen, it's for female, and testosterone, it's for male. Now what will happen? These hormones will be released. Where? It will be released into the bloodstream. Because it will be released to the bloodstream, what's that mean? It means these hormones now, it will circulate around the whole body. But what will happen? These hormones will be received in specific part of the body. In specific part of the body that it have specific receptors that are specified for this hormone. Okay, so they only affect the target organs which have receptors that recognize them. Now let's take a look on these two diagrams. Here we will see these hormones, how it will affect on human body in both male and female. We will see when it will affect, it will have physically effect on the body organs, and also it will affect the behavior of the person. Now, if we will let's take the first one, a female reproductive system, or the female body. We will see how it will affect. Firstly, you have pituitary gland. All the process, it starts from the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland, here it's the pituitary gland. Okay, what will happen? It will produce hormones. It will affect the endocrine organs. What do you mean by endocrine organs? Endocrine organs are organs that have glands in it and it will release hormones. Now, pituitary gland produce hormones which affect other endocrine organs. See, let's follow the arrows. Pituitary gland, it will affect endocrine organ. So, we came here to what? We came here to the female reproductive system. Okay? As you can see here, the female reproductive system, it consists of what? The first part, what do we call the first part here? We call it the ovary. Okay? Now, a hormone from pituitary gland will be sent into the ovary through the bloodstream. Okay? One pituitary hormone stimulates the ovaries to produce estrogen. Now, the ovary will produce this enzyme, estrogen. See, follow the arrows. Now, what will happen? See, pituitary, ovary, now it's going to many parts of the body. This estrogen, it will affect on showing some features of the body. Okay. This female sex hormone circulate in the blood and stimulate development of female secondary sex characteristics. Okay, we talked about the primary sex organs. Okay, and then we will have secondary characteristics. The secondary characteristic, what are they? Estrogen begins the cycle of egg production and prepares the uterus lining for the implementation. Once the female will be like adult, okay, or will be able to reproduce, what will happen? This hormone, the estrogen hormone, now will give a message, like a message, or it will stimulate the ovaries to what? To produce the egg. And at the same time will stimulate the uterus to be able or to prepare itself for receiving the egg. Okay. Then another characteristic, which is breasts. Breasts, here what will happen? It will develop, it will increase in size, and also the nipples becomes larger. Another change, which is hair. The hair will develop, okay, and will grow in some parts of the body. For example, hair develops under the arms and in pubic regions, okay, which is here, okay. Then hips. If you will look at the hips, what will happen? The hips will be wider, okay, becomes broader as pelvis widens and fat is deposited. Here, what will happen? The hip, it will be the size of it will be bigger. Then, and the last change, which is the vagina. What will happen? The size of the vagina also it will be larger. Now, all of this, it was what? It was the effect of hormones. Hormones controls the puberty in human. One more thing, which is in girls, the proportion of fat, okay, may affect the onset of the puberty. What's that mean? The percentage or the amount of fat in the body, it will affect on the puberty. How is that? Girls with more fats in their bodies, they will reach the puberty faster, okay? Puberty may be delayed. Here it's opposite. Puberty may be delayed in girls who are extremely muscular, such as gymnasts. That's mean girls, those the gymnastic girls, okay, the puberty it will be delayed in their bodies. Now, a change in the behavior. What will happen, or how this or hormones it will affect the behavior? What will happen to the girls? Girls may become more maternal and attracted to boys. So all of these changes, it happened, or it happened by what? By the hormones. Now, the same thing, it will happen in boys. Let's see how. Again, we will start with the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland, it will produce hormones. These hormones, it will affect the endocrine organs. Let's follow the arrow. If pituitary, then it will goes to the male reproductive organs. Now, the pituitary gland, it will affect the what? It will affect on the testes. Now, what will happen to the testes? The testes, it will stimulate the testes to produce testosterone. Now, this testosterone will go through the blood circulatory system. Okay, it will go through the blood vessels. It will circulate the body, and then it will affect what? Also, it will start affecting on male secondary sex characteristics. How? What will happen? When it will produce the testosterone, now, testes, it will be able to produce sperm. This is the first change. Then, after that, facial hair develop. Okay, these are the secondary sex characteristics. Testes will be able to produce sperm. There will be hair on the face, chest, broadness, muscles becomes larger, voice becomes deeper as larynx change in shape, and also here the hair, it will develops on chest, under arms, and pubic region. And the last thing, penis. The penis is the same here as we said. In vagina, it will be bigger. So the same thing, it will be for the penis. Penis becomes larger, and scrotum expands to contain larger testes. Okay, the skin sac. Okay, it will be the size of it. It will be bigger. So it will contain the larger testes. The size of testes also it will be larger here. Now, how these hormones it will affect the behavior of boys. Boys may become more aggressive and territorial and attracted to girls. And the last effect of testosterone, it's a not all of testosterone's effects seem beneficial. Okay, all of these, they were beneficial, but also we will have some like negative effect of the testosterone, which is what will happen. This hormone, it will make the skin more oily, and acne can develop. Questions. Question number 1, it says explain the importance of the following in the human life cycle. Firstly, fertilization. What's the importance of fertilization? If you will just give the definition of fertilization, it gives the answer. So the importance of it, it's what? It allows joining of genetic material from the two parents. The male joining, it will enable the joining of male and female gametes. Then the next one, it's puberty. What is the importance of puberty? The importance of puberty, it's what? This stage, it's the development stage in which the human or the male and female will be physically able to reproduce. C, gamete formation. What is the importance of gametes formation? Of course, the importance of gametes, it's what? It's for reproducing, to make the zygote, and then to make a new offspring. Question number 2. Question number 2, it says describe the pathway followed by spermatozoa at ejaculation. How the spermatozoa or how the sperms it will form. Firstly, the sperms we say it will be produced from testes. So firstly you will have testes. Okay, if we will explain on this diagram, it will start from testes. Okay, then after that it goes through this tube. Okay, this tube we call it the sperm duct. Then sperm duct, and then it will pass through the prostate gland. Prostate gland, we said in the prostate gland what will happen? It will produce or it will release the seminal fluid. Then after prostate gland, it will go through the urethra and then outside the body. B, an ovum at ovulation. The same thing here, it will be. During ovulation, we said here it's the ovary, and the ovary, it will produce the ova. The ova, it moves through the oviduct. Okay, this is the ovulation. From ovary through the oviduct. Question number 3. Where does the fertilization occur? The fertilization, it will occur. Here we say the ova will be produced in ovary, then it will pass through the oviduct. While it's passing in oviduct, so here it will be fertilized. So the fertilization, it will occur in the oviduct. Question number 4. Why is reproduction necessary? The answer, reproduction it's necessary. Why? To replace individuals that have died and to make sure that there is variation within a sexually reproducing population. Question number 5. Question number 5, this it will be your task. And also question number 6. Last thing here, this the life cycle, how it is. Firstly, you will have at puberty. Okay, at puberty, as we said, the stage in which the human will be physically able to reproduce. What will happen? Male and female, both of them now they are able to produce gametes. Okay, so sperm and ovum. Sperm and ovum. Sperm will be produced by male, while ovum will be produced by female. When this sperm and ovum will join each other, so here as you can see what is happening, the sperm is trying to penetrate and join the female gamete. Now what happened? When they will fuse each other, they will form a zygote. So a zygote is formed when the male and female nuclei fuse. This is what? Fertilization. Now the zygote has one complete set of genetic information, one half from the father and one half from the mother. Then what will happen? This zygote, it will start dividing. As you can see here, it was one cell, now it's 2, then it will be 4, and so on. After that, it will form what? It will form the embryo. This embryo either will be male or female, and then the life cycle, here we will have male, female, they will grow, they will reach this stage, puberty, and the life cycle, it will repeat itself. Dear students, that was everything for reproduction in human. Now, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to do these objectives. You should be able to define sexual reproduction and the steps involved in sexual reproduction, and also you should be able to describe the human reproductive systems. That was everything for this lesson. I hope you get benefit from it. Don't forget to write your name once you will finish watching this video. Thank you and have a good day.